Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Millionaire Mindset Mondays live. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, your host. And as you know, I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. So every week we have wonderful guests with us. This week we have my good friends, Brittany and Shawn, who I've recently traveled with twice. Yeah. Um, yeah. So they're international agents and investors. So if you guys want to expand on that, tell everybody a little bit about what you do, that would be great.
Sure, let Brittany start.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I could tell you a little bit about where we came from too. So, started out our careers as nurses, had what it feels like a full career in nursing. I was a nurse for 17 years
I
and
was a nurse for 20 and a medic with the Canadian Armed Forces for 5 before that.
yeah, and we slowly weaved in our love of real estate into what is now a full-time career, lifestyle. I wouldn't say a job.
Well, we did say lifestyle career, you'd say retirement. It's allowed us to retire from nursing full time. The two of us no longer nurse full time. We built a medical clinic in Ontario and then just recently restructured some of our assets there to focus more on our goals, which are, real estate here in Mexico, where we currently live, and also real estate in the south of the US.
Yeah, so we've done everything from frontline nursing to management to business ownership to now real estate full time, and all while now living in Mexico.
Wow, that's very
Briefly.
cool. Very, very, very cool.
And
So,
then also, I think we even left out the fact that we are also investing in the US.
Yes.
So we're actively investing in the southern US, in Florida State more specifically, and just bringing, projects and things that we used to do in Canada. We used to enjoy fixing and flipping homes. We've done that for a few years, many years in Canada, and now have moved that business down to Florida.
Well, I think that we had a conversation previously when we were in the Azores. Jan, you know that, when you set a goal, Alfonso always says double it, right? So for us, it was taking action as soon as we came back from that mastermind event and actually excelling forward. So we have two properties right now on contract that'll be closing, and we're working on renovation. Like we got contractors and insurance quotes, and so we're actually dealing with a lot as we speak, but hey, like as, going back to when we were nurses, we're quite well adverse to all the stress and being busy and active like we are. So for us, it's just kind of a different style of working, and we enjoy it very much. So,
Yeah. But I mean, it's so different in comparison to nursing. It's
mm.
been, 12-hour shifts, days, nights, weekends, holidays. I think I worked every other Christmas, if not every Christmas, it felt like for most of those 17 years. And so now it's just so different. We laugh because we're on the phone with our mortgage broker as we're sitting in the pool, right? So life is a little different now.
I actually said that to Brett. I said, you know what? This feels really weird. It makes me feel like I'm really truly not working. And she goes, no, 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 you're just thinking about it differently.
Yeah.
You have to think differently about you're actually working to get, the goals completed that we had set. And yeah, we've been really focused on daily goals, weekly goals, bi-weekly goals, and then monthly goals. And we've actually excelled really fast because we've just been knocking them off our list that we created at the mastermind. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're excited.
nice, nice. So the two properties that you have under contract are in Florida?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
What?
We're currently in Jacksonville, Florida. So specifically in Jacksonville, we have built up a really great team there, and yeah, So
And
that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we
Under
basically
contract and everything is moving all at once.
yeah, we had been looking to, focus more on the US market. And then it just so happens one day, I know it says Millionaire Mindset Mondays, which is true because on a Monday, when I finally said to myself, give up looking for deals, this is when the entire connection was made. And a real estate brokerage and a broker reached out to me. And quite amazingly, they get off market real estate at very discounted prices, if that makes sense. So it just everything fell in place where they help us develop our team. Now we have, two renovation companies that we work with exclusively, and we just unlimited deal flow on a regular basis. Like we could literally every day close on a property if we wanted to, if we had, the partners that were interested in, joining up and making some really good returns, obviously. We could do that daily. And so it all depends on, again, I'm going back to the mindset. It's kind of funny, but it goes back to, if you want to do this every single day, you can. And it's just a matter of making it work. So when we got back, we just focused on let's make it work and let's keep pushing forward. And yeah, two properties in Jacksonville that we're renovating, and we're wanting to get them on the market real fast. And that's basically what we're focusing on is fix and flip properties in Florida State right now.
nice, nice. And so you're doing those with partners?
So those ones are actually we're doing on our own. That's actually probably one of the first projects that we haven't brought in like private investors, like we're doing it on our own. Um,
We're in the process of setting up.
but it was
Yeah.
mainly because, yeah, coming into the US, like we've been doing this for a while in Canada, but coming into the US is new. So we wanted to make sure everything that we have is moving well and is a well-oiled machine before bringing other people into it, just as a comfort level, more so like, also as protection for any partners we bring in. We want to make
Mhm.
sure that things are solid with what we're doing. It's a new team, it's people we haven't worked with, right? So all of it is new people and new faces and new partnerships in like the business side. So we want to make sure that it's a solid foundation first.
However, we've
But it's been
had
great.
a significant amount of individuals reach out to us, that know, like, and trust us and see what we've been doing. And they're like, oh my God, like you guys are expanding in the States. What are you up to? And we got off a couple calls yesterday and we already have, other investors. Okay, how do we set up a joint venture LLC together? And how do we do this? Because we want to do this with you guys,
Yeah, the US
which
market
is
is
really,
always
it's
enticing
good.
to Canadians, I think.
Yeah, it's good because I mean we've learned the nuances of investing there, and now we're able to not only teach, I would say, like more or less like work with partners or guide individuals that might not know, so that they can do it in a safe way, and we can all work together and meet our common goals, which is expanding portfolios and sitting by really nice pools, drinking tropical drinks, right?
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So
Definitely.
yeah, it is very different working in the US and how you have to structure things and set things up and yeah, getting so that's the long-term plan is to just rinse and repeat and bring in capital partners to be able to do more.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we were talking about this actually just the last couple of days, and like it's like why reinvent the wheel? If something is going to work and something is working, just keep doing it. Like and just expand that further, with what's working. So
Well, the conversation we had is because we were already talking about expanding to different cities, and then we stopped and thought about it. We're like, why, re-grease the wheel if you don't have to keep it going and what you're doing currently and the processes you have. Once that's going and really great, of course, we want to reinvest in business. So for us, a strong interest of ours is investing in multifamilies. And the reason why we really got into fixing and flipping properties is because we seen that there were a lot of like properties that owners weren't able to renovate or take really good care of that still hold value. And of course, housing's always an issue in the States and in Canada, like we always know. And for us to be able to renovate something and bring it back to, the glory it used to be or even better and offer a nice home to somebody, that's really what we care about. And that's why we like the flipping aspect. However, we're looking at eventually branching into multifamily and looking at bigger obviously and apartment buildings and so on and so forth.
Keep going.
And keep going.
Keep growing.
Nice. And double it and double it
And double it.
and double
Yeah,
it.
Pretty much is what we keep thinking and keep saying to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I think of something, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I'm like, no, double
Yeah.
it. Do more.
Very good.
But also like not do more. I think that was like a big thing and a big shift and why like being here in Mexico and living in Mexico makes it great is because it allows us to like we're still growing, but the goal was always to have a certain style of life as well, right? And lifestyle is really important. And so it wasn't necessarily that we want to try and do more all the time and be busy all the time. Want
Right.
to be able to grow things in a way that's smart so that
And you made a
we
comment
can
yesterday,
do less and still do more.
like Brittany made a comment about that yesterday. She's like, you enjoy doing the things you do every day in Mexico while we're here, right? Yes. I'm like, yes. Of course, because your mind goes to the extreme sometimes where you want way more and you kind of look at yourself and go, how come I'm not there yet, right? And then she's like, you have to slow down sometimes and just enjoy where you're at currently because we're actually already surpassing the goals that we've set a month ago for a year and we're working on them as like now and actually surpassing them. So yeah, it's crazy. But we do definitely get to enjoy the lifestyle that we've always wanted. And yeah, going back to a bit of the joint venture or the structure you were talking about, for example, like partners and so on and so forth. I think that's key for us as well, is because we really see returns in real estate. Obviously, Brittany working as a realtor in Mexico, Canada, and I'm a realtor here and investing in how long we have that we want to share it with other people. We want to share our wins with other people, and we have really good friends and really good colleagues that have been reaching out to us and wanting to know how can I live the lifestyle that you guys are, and how can I do what you guys are doing. And for us, it's, well, how about I hold your hand and show you through a partnership, right? Like we can help you learn what we know, and you can also make good returns and financially benefit from it as well as learning at the same time. And we've kind of implemented that moving forward after, or I think we're implementing that as we're moving forward because we talked about that
Yeah.
today and we're on long calls with investors about that too. So
Nice.
It's moving forward.
definitely.
Oh, that's exciting. Very exciting. And now, so what about Mexico? What's going on there?
Yeah, so we're still here. We're still agents here in Mexico. I mean, we have investors who are coming down over the next couple weeks even. We're still touring properties, finding really good opportunities and deals. We actually work with a large developer or one of the largest developers here in Mexico. And we're going to be working with them to try and bring more investment opportunities to Canadians from Mexico. And actually, we're going to be bringing them to Canada.
Yeah, we're coming to expand, so we'll be at expand with them.
Yeah.
Great.
So still offering lots of different options for investments for anyone who's interested in Mexico, still touring people around. And our biggest goal here is, we just want to make sure that anyone who's interested in Mexico as an investment or as a retirement home, a vacation home, has the ability to do it safely. So the goal was more so how can we reach the most amount of people? With just the two of us. I mean, we have a decent presence on social media, but I mean, we can only like service so many clients and we can only help so many people, but so many people are so interested in Mexico that our goal is to kind of help build a team that allows lots of different agents from Canada to be able to offer these kind of investments to their clients in a safe way. So that's what we've been building, and that's really the main focus here in Mexico is working with other agents in Canada and how they can show and be able to offer these kind of investment options for their clients. So rather than us trying to reach everyone, why not reach the people who already have clients they work with? Maybe they have investors that they work with that they purchase things on a regular basis or always bringing up new opportunities. So, they already have that relationship. So why not build on that?
And of course, Mexican real estate's different than US and Canada.
Yes.
There's different laws, different documents, different processes. And for us being down here, the length of time that we have been and also investing here previous to that, we ran into a lot of like Canadians, Americans that were buying property off of real estate agents that were, promising ROI and returns and all these numbers and they're all on Instagram looking great and finding out that investors are coming back here to Mexico, to close or to make maybe their last payments to find out that the development's not going to be finished, or the developer took their money, or they're not going to get deed and title, so they can't find it. And there's so many little nuances here in Mexico. It's not as easy. It's a very cash market, real estate market itself. So if you have cash in hand, it makes a lot of sense. But so we've just seen so many people lose significant amount of money that we decided how can we prevent that and how can we help Canadians buy safely here and in a process. So that's when we obviously our brokerage has been set up here for about 30 years that we work with. And we've all teamed up with one of the largest developers in Mexico that builds like big gated communities with like five-star amenities. However, all the plots of land and everything that they build, they all deed and title it. So there's a whole safety aspect to that. They also offer financing and stuff and processes like that. That's difficult to get here in Mexico. It all aligned real well. So we just decided that why not continue to help and transfer this kind of information over to Canadian agents. And that's what we're currently building right now, is a team of Canadian agents from coast to coast that can help Canadians buy through us here in Mexico in a process that's safe and legal and trustworthy and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I
there's just
like that you keep
so
saying
much.
safely. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Yeah,
yeah.
we've had many Canadian investors come down here and buy real estate and I like to say we've never had any concerns or issues ever in any of the transactions that we've been involved in. And that's what we want to continue to see. We don't want to hear these stories that people lost, half a million US on a condo in Tulum because they believed somebody else and you know what I mean? So for us, it's a big thing is to do a lot of that due diligence, a lot of the work for them, and work through the processes and brokerage that we work with and the
Yeah.
developer we work with.
And I swear every other day, like 100 new agents in Mexico pop up. And you can be taking your taxi downtown and suddenly the taxi driver is also selling real estate and your waitress at the bar is selling real estate. And so like it's such a it's such a wild west market sometimes. But there's been a lot of change and a lot of regulations put in place. But that's the goal, is just to be able to offer something that people can like know and trust that what they're getting is actually, what they're supposed to be receiving.
And we actually have
It's just sad. There's so many bad stories.
well, even right now, it's pretty amazing. We have a Canadian just sold his house in Nova Scotia. He bought a piece of land in this with this developer, and he's going to be building a 3 bedroom or 4 bedroom villa. And I mean, for 150,000 to 180,000 US to build a villa down here seems to be pretty, decent compared to listing it and selling it at five in, 6 months to a year. So we really see amazing investments down here. It's just it has to be very strategic and planned and know what the goal is, and that's where Brittany and I come in. We don't just sell people real estate down here. We sit down with investors and we say, okay, what's your goal? What do you want to do? How can you see this in 5, 10 years, whatever? And we focus on that specifically so that they get what they are actually coming down here for and are happy with it. So yeah.
Nice, nice. So yeah, so I guess I think that the most important thing is it's boots on the ground. Like you guys actually are there. You know the systems, you know the processes, you know the paperwork, all that kind of stuff. And essentially how to vet the sellers as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I think that's why we like work with the developer that we do work or the brokerage that we do work with, because they have been here for so many years. They've literally seen, like, especially here where we are, we're in the Riviera Maya, so like Cancun, Playa, Tulum area, and they've pretty much witnessed it grow from like a tiny little 100 people fishing town to what it is now. So that's what's key. So they have the connections, they know the processes, how things need to move, and they've seen what has happened and know what to avoid, which is key.
Yeah, I bet you've heard several stories.
It's never ending. It feels
Yeah.
like something.
But
Yeah.
for
So,
us, it's stories from other investors again, and this is where due diligence really comes in, is that they just, maybe they put too much trust in someone or they didn't look into certain developers or developments. Down here, there is a folder of legal documents, for an example, for within a developer that they require before they can even break ground. So even if they go to their own site that they own and they touch a tree and they don't have the 13 documents that they require, they will be shut down permanently by the government. So it's very strict here. Unfortunately, what happens is when they get developing and they get to a certain point and they've raised enough capital within that the point, they're supposed to go and pay the government the taxes that are owed. And what developers or some developers have done down here is omitted the fact that they haven't paid the taxes because they kept people's money, and then they cannot no longer get approved to build or have no remaining capital to continue to build down here. So for us, that's a big thing. We only work with the developers that we do for a reason. They've been well established in these areas for many, many years. They are the developers of Aldea Zama, for example, all the land in Tulum. The developers that we work with, they're the ones that owned all that land and sold it off to every other little developer. So being scale wise, you know, we put a lot of trust in them, but they also put a lot of trust in us to bring really good individuals and investors to these developments so that everyone, gets what they paid for, but are happy that they now have a beautiful place here in Mexico to enjoy.
right. So, what kind of places are they building? Like, is it a whole community or is it single family homes or how, like, do they share a pool or how does it, how's
All of the above.
all of
Yeah,
the above?
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely options for everything that people are looking for. So if you're looking to be in a nice condo building that has all the amenities, you don't have to worry about any upkeep. You've got pools and gyms, and I mean, some of these condos will have all sorts of different types of amenities.
sometimes in a restaurant.
Restaurants, bars, everything like that. You want to be near the ocean, you want to be in the jungle, you want to be in the heart of the city. Do you want to be in a residential community that's gated, that also has, different types of amenities? Those are all definitely options from
But
house to condo to land
I
and
was going to
everything
say,
in
when
between.
even land, there comes down to land, for an example. I mean, you can get a piece of land from, 50,000 to about 80,000, 100,000 US down here. And as soon as the services are brought to the land value increases up to another 25 to $30,000. So if you think of that, that you're buying a piece of land within their development that hasn't been serviced yet, as soon as it's serviced, you're getting forced appreciation of that land. Then again, every other piece of land that they sell around you is now forced appreciation within that development. And sometimes you'll see anywhere from 20 to 25% forced appreciation annually because of what's going on within that development. So there's a lot of opportunity here for investors to really make some great returns. But also if they want a property to enjoy, like to build a villa or something to come down here for 6 months and then rent it out for 6 months, there's still a lot of successful strategies down here for Airbnb and short-term, long-term rental. It just all comes down to, a few things like, what kind of capital do you have? What are your investment goals? When are you looking at the close? So these are all interviews that we have with investors before we even go looking for real estate, right? We want to make sure that we know a clear picture of what somebody is interested in and if they have the finances to do so. Again, because it's very cash
Yeah,
oriented down.
financing is a very different thing here than what we're used to in Canada or the US even. So it is something that's available to people to purchase here, but it comes with some challenges, I guess. And it's definitely not a simple process where you just here's my documents, let's go and what can I buy? It's definitely an approval process. You're basically starting out in a new country, right? So you don't have a credit history. They don't have any way of knowing what kind of ability you have to repay loans. And I have to say, like one thing Mexico is very strict on is just making sure that like money and funds are tracked, right? And everything is
Mm.
very well accounted for. And so banks don't just hand over money very easily here.
But it's funny.
Unlike,
It's funny
lenders
that
in like the US and
I was
things,
just going to
right?
say it's funny that people still feel that Mexico's third world country. It's not a third world country. It's a very big powerhouse, like sleeping giant right now. So when people think even mortgages in Mexico, they can't be doing that and all this kind of stuff. They do, but like Brittany said, it just becomes more challenging because you're not international, like you're international, you're an investor from a different country. So you have to understand that there's time, there's nuances that we have to work through to be able to get you to the people that can actually make it happen. And again, it's very similar to traditional lending in ways. Like back in Canada, you still have to, apply and be approved for the process, and they'll look at, do you have income? Do you not have income? And your T4 and things like this. However, some of the people that were able to get financing down here, they're a little upset maybe because the interest is a little higher, but the fact that you're able to get a mortgage in a country like Mexico, I mean, it needs to be celebrated, not, look back down on, right? So
Yeah. Now, is it possible to get Canadian financing for
So,
Mexico, or
I
do you
mean,
know?
it is definitely possible to use Canadian financing to purchase in Mexico. What we see more so is people looking to use equity that they already have in buildings and being able to use that as a purchase down here. But do Canadian lenders lend for Mexican properties? No, not really.
No.
It's more so there is some U.S. companies that lend here in Mexico, so that's good. They make the process a little easier because they're used to like the same kind of financing that we're used to. But mainly it's Mexican banks that are lending.
Okay.
we
Okay.
actually we created a guide of our experiences, our story, all of the benefits and processes on what it's like to invest here in Mexico and all the information that people would need. We have it at investingmexico.com, and we refer people back to it quite often just because it's quite a lot to explain investors. It's like you're teaching them a whole new way of investing. And not that we don't want to teach and help people, it's just it becomes overwhelming for us that we spend a lot of time doing it, and we want people to learn and know about it. So we've created that guide so that people could download it and get the information, then come to us and say, okay, like I've learned a bit about this. How does this work? How does that work? And then we're able to facilitate that a lot easier.
Because that's the thing is that, what works for one investor may not work for another investor. Right? So you need to have some understanding of what the market is, where you want to invest as well. So even just the idea of, first of all, why are you investing in Mexico? Like people just think, oh, okay, well, it's a travel destination, it should do well. But you need to understand different areas of Mexico, what each city is like each area and each city has such a different market when it comes to investments. Like we're in Playa del Carmen, and what you buy here and what you invest in here is very different than what you would buy, say, in Tulum, and it's only an hour drive. So, the markets are very different. And so you need to understand like your goals and what you're looking at and all the different types of investments. There's a lot of pre-construction, there's a lot of land options, there's a lot of resale properties, there's condos, there's houses. So, it's a lot to take in. It's a new market, it's a new country, right? So you want to know everything about the market. But the one thing as well is that with Mexico, it's not like you can just hop on Google and find a lot of this information. It's not as well
Put up publicly.
publicly published. And so that's what makes it difficult for people is that like we get a lot of stats and things through like the real estate board. And so, it's easier to be able to share that. But, in Canada per se. Like I can go on Alberta real estate board and I can see all the stats just as person of the public, but you can't really do that here. And so it makes it harder to learn about where you're investing. So it puts a lot of reliance onto to who you're working with, which means that you really need to have a good relationship with people to be able to like share and give that trust as well. So
Then of course we hit these, these governments of, the US and Canada where they say, oh, don't travel to Mexico, you're gonna lose all your money, you're gonna this, that, whatever, to scare people, right? And when we came down here, that's one thing that we notice is that it isn't like what the government says in both of our countries. It's a great country, the culture is fantastic. Purchasing process, people say you can't buy property here if you're foreign. Totally false. You can buy under a fideicomiso, which is a bank trust, and the bank now helps you own the rights of the property itself over an extended period of time that you can actually will down to about 11 or 12 of your siblings or children or whoever you want to. And then of course, that question of the cartel, are they out here hurting people and shooting people? And it's not like what people see on TV and the movies and all that kind of stuff down here. You know what I mean? Like yeah, of course, I'm not going to lie. There are, those elements to worry about in this country. However, they're more towards the American border and they basically stick to whatever crime and whatever kind of lifestyle they've created rather than in the tourist areas where we live that are all protected by the government and, safe. Like we walk the neighborhoods here 4 a.m., no big deal, go get a taco.
I mean, it's like it's
Yeah,
saying like I won't go like visit Toronto because of crime. Like, I mean, yeah, like crime exists in Toronto as well. And there's plenty of like organized crime and that going on in those areas, but we still travel there. Nobody's
oops.
concerned that, we shouldn't like buy property there because of it. So it's just yeah, lots of hurdles to get over as well. Just talking about Mexico.
But those hurdles, that's what we're here for. To be honest with you, that's why we came down here because we invested down here years ago and we went through the hurdles ourselves. And we sat here and thought one time that like we've always wanted to retire somewhere where it's warm and tropical, and that's why we're here. However, we've learned so much during our processes investing down here years ago that we were like looking at each other going, okay, well now we have to apply this to how we help others and how we can protect others through that process. And yeah, and so that's what we focused on, just the legitimacy, the openness, and finding people real true value in real estate down here in another country.
Nice, nice. Giving back. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very nice.
Always. That feels like what we do all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So your guide sounds like that could be very helpful for people who are interested, just as a starting point, because there is so much information. So how can they access that? How do they
Yeah, we have a website you can go to investingmexico.com. So it's just investingmexico.com. It's right.
investing, just investingmexico.com?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we have a fee to the guide, and the reason why we put a bit of a fee to the guide was because, well, I shouldn't say because, but just the legitimacy of the effort that we put into the guide. We're always updating it and working on it, but also the fact too that, and I'm not trying to say this in any bad way, to be honest with you, there was a lot of tire kickers that were coming our way and spending time and we're touring them down here and everything, and then we just never they disappear into something like it was a vacation that we were touring them on. So for us, we looked at each other and we said, if we just offer it at a low price, maybe $50 or something like that, there's so much value in it. But then somebody that's interested in buying is obviously okay with spending a fee like that for a guide, and
So much
that they're
information.
gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, and they're gonna
yeah,
appreciate it, right? It's not
right.
just gonna be like, I put my coffee on it in the morning and that's it. So they get lifetime access to the digital copy. We are currently working on making some adjustments to it because when we moved down here, we brought our dogs. So we wanted to add a section in there, what it's like to bring your animals down to Mexico to live here.
Yeah.
We also have our connections that we're going to be listing in there as well, like our
Our
broker,
Rolodex
our
of
Rolodex of
that
people
you
that
need
we've
here.
met and that work with us. just so that if individuals want to go get financing, for an example, they know who to contact. And if they're interested, if we give them that, obviously, they, I'm sure, would appreciate coming back to us to be able to help them purchase as well. So the more we can give, the more people give back. So that's kind of why we've focused on that guide. And yeah, with lifetime access, we're going to be working on making some adjustments to it on a regular basis. So it's going to be updated. Yeah.
As we get more information, so does everyone else.
Nice,
And
nice.
that's what
Yeah,
we've learned through this is that we just keep adding to it, and every once in a while something comes up, we're like, oh, we've never seen that before. Let's add this
yeah.
information.
Yeah, like I
So
said, bringing your dogs there, like what are the requirements? What do you, yeah, yeah.
And then one of the investors that have just he sold this house and he's moving down here. Some of his trials and tribulations of what it's like to ship, some of your property down here and what the processes are and things like this. So that's what we're currently working on, and all these little adaptive kind of pieces of and bits of information that we can continue to put into this guide so that it would be basically like a hitchhiker's guide to Mexico from if you're Canadian or American trying to come down here and build a
Mhm.
life, right? What it would look
yeah,
like.
very fast.
And
So,
what about the whole like living there full time? What the challenges with that? Is that in the
Absolutely,
guide?
yeah. When it comes to residency and all the, immigration aspects, and then even just the idea of like bringing your things down here is like we took the easy route. We sold everything and came with suitcases because moving your stuff here is actually like quite a process, and people don't realize that. And it's funny because we see it a lot on social media where it's like I mean, it's probably because we live here that we see it all the time. Like it's
it's
a
almost like
thing.
a
Everyone's
fad.
like
Yeah.
moving to Mexico. Like lots of people leaving the US and Canada and moving abroad. And so it makes it sound so easy when you see people doing it on social media and all that. But there's a lot of legalities that you need to understand, and definitely Mexico is no different to that.
Mhm.
So it's lots of loopholes, even just the aspect of if you have a vehicle and you're going to drive here, and what that looks like. Because you don't think about it because it's so easy to travel around to these countries that you don't think of it as being difficult to move to. But I mean, things like bringing your dogs or bringing your car, you're importing goods into the country. So, it's
What does
not
that
quite the
look like?
same as just moving across, Canada.
The
And the cool
process.
thing now that I just shared the other day, Flair Airlines, I mean, they've offered like super, super cheap flights to Mexico City and to Cancun from Toronto and from out west. So as soon as I started seeing that, that kind of gives us a heads up that, it's going to get very busy down here. The world, was it FIFA? What's it called? Is it the World Cup?
Oh,
Is that what
yeah.
they call it for
Yeah,
soccer?
FIFA.
Is in
Yeah.
Mexico City coming up really soon, in a couple weeks, which is pretty insane. And just we're getting ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Mexico's Independence Day, so it's going to be like crazy busy with parades.
Yeah.
And this is basically the country that never sleeps. Like there's always a party every single day. Kids out playing in the
Something a
streets.
lot.
It very much reminds me of when I was younger, when the kids play in the streets till the lights come on. And obviously we live in a gated community because most of them are gated, but it's just different than back in Canada. They don't sit in front of TV. They don't play a lot of video games for hours. Everyone's outside enjoying the weather and life. So it's a different,
Well,
more community I find here than what we're used to.
I mean, it's a big
So
difference too when you're living in like, 360 days of sun, it feels like.
they
So
could tell we're both red, yeah.
yeah, it's always sunny and it's just a different lifestyle for sure. So
Nice. Nice. Yes.
that's actually what we loved. That's why we moved down here. Like it's so different when you're walking down the street, and we go back at home and visit all the time. And you don't realize it until you move away from it that like on every street corner you've got like fast food or some sort of like fast food restaurant or chain or something easy to grab. And you come back here and it's not like that at all. Like
It's all
there's
fresh
not
organic food and taco
I think
stands and
there's
fresh
like two
fruit.
McDonald's in the whole city, and because on every corner is fresh fruit and
Mm.
fresh produce and people making fresh food out of like street carts and street vendors, and so it's a different kind of fast food, that's for
It's
sure.
also a different lifestyle at nighttime. A lot of these Mexican individuals, they work at the resorts and things like this. So when they get off work at 7, 8 o'clock at night, we normally go for a walk. And when we do, it's insane.
Yeah, the
It's
city
like
comes
there's
alive at
people
night.
everywhere, the parks or people exercising and playing basketball and people out and eating. And it's like 9 o'clock at night, dark, lights are on, it's just, it's totally, totally different, which is why we wanted to be here. Just our life has improved because of it. Our outlook's improved and our health has improved.
Mhm.
So why not continue to do what we do, right? In Mexico, yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, sounds like a very healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, it's very focused on healthy living and even the government, like just with government processes and regulations and things that it's just very different.
Like kids' cereal boxes don't have animals on them because
Yeah,
there's too much sugar in there, and it would
so
lure
that
a
was that
child to
too.
eat that cereal because of the animal on the box. So now they don't put, so they do really different
Labeling.
marketing and labeling techniques here and stuff. And kids eat nothing but organic and healthy food at the schools. The schools don't feed, like pop and chips and sugar and all that. And it's
There's
just,
also like, pesticide use is banned and
yeah.
like GMOs are banned, and so it's just you get different quality of food for sure.
So with us being in real estate, it allows us to have more free time, and that free time allows us to go to beach clubs, the beach. I mean, we've been on yachts, we've traveled all over Mexico. Yeah, it's great. That's why we love real estate so much too.
Yeah.
In the end, really.
Yeah, it's quite a shift from nursing to go to real estate and see that like you can actually like I know you've mentioned it before, like you've kind of owned your own businesses, since you were young and never really like worked in a traditional job, and if it's just such a different lifestyle and it's just a different like I say, like I don't feel like I have a job. Like, yeah, like we do things to better our business every single day, but it
But we
doesn't
don't
feel
have to.
like the same as when you went into the job.
Yeah,
Like when I went into work as a nurse, it was like,
we had to do it.
when
We
my
had
alarm went
to.
off at 5:30 in the morning, I was like, oh my God, like shoot me now. I don't want to do this. Here we go again. Another 12 hours that you're just nonstop and it's just so
And now we
different.
wake up at 5 a.m., go for, a couple kilometer walk, come back, have fresh breakfast, and then figure out how are we gonna tackle our
What are
goal
we
for the
gonna
day? What are we
accomplish
gonna do?
today? Yeah.
And most of the time it's sitting in the sun by the pool, accomplishing them, So to be able to do that, instead of going into a hospital and working, 14-hour shifts like we had for so long, the two of us over 50 years or
Yeah.
close to that, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It really is, and we enjoy every single day of it. Because yeah, years ago we were at the hospital there, non like my first year graduating from nursing, I had 3 days off the entire year. I worked every single day, and I made that famous sunshine list in Ontario and all this great stuff. And I thought I was, was amazing. Meanwhile, I had 3 days off, So some of the things that you do when you're young and dumb and now that we get a little bit older and wiser, and we realize that we can do other things to generate income, and real estate was the caveat to get us here. So we're just appreciative of doing what we do. And
Yeah.
of course, individuals like yourself and having colleagues and friends and business partners just like you and everyone else in the real estate world, we're just honored to have these relationships. It's fantastic.
Yeah, to be able to travel together, right?
That's,
As we're
We've always
learning.
worked together as well.
yeah.
So Brittany and I
Gosh,
nursing,
yeah.
we've ever since she graduated, she was basically like my charge nurse. So we worked together for many, many years. And now to be able to work together in a different way, in different capacity when it comes to real estate. I think that's maybe a bit of a secret to our superhero success is that we know how to work so well together that we can get these things accomplished and goals accomplished real quickly that sometimes some people maybe might struggle through, we don't see it as a struggle because we're so used to working and being around each other. So yeah,
Yeah. If you can, yeah, work in nursing together, then you can certainly navigate these waters, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, it sounds like if anybody's interested, well, either Florida um or in Mexico specifically, you do have the guide that if they're interested in really diving deep into it, sounds like a lot of great information in there. Um,
And we normally tell people as well that, reach out to us 24/7, 365. Obviously, I'm not going to answer you at 3 a.m. on a Saturday or something like that, but Sunday
well,
morning when
maybe.
I'm having coffee behind the pool,
Yeah.
real estate never stops. So we
Right.
don't mind helping people and getting there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because I don't feel like, I mean, again, I don't feel like we actually like start a work day or anything. Like, so it's just, as we do things and as things come up, that's what we deal with. And if that means that it's, 2 hours today or 6 hours tomorrow or whatever that may be, like it's just our life.
Yeah, like this morning, I spent all morning, getting insurance quotes for our second property in Jacksonville that we're closing on. But, before I would feel it as such a daunting task and oh my God, that's another job to do. I got to do this. I was sitting by the pool calling insurance companies, like, really, how hard is that? To get an insurance quote and say, okay, over the phone, yes, I want you to do that. And here's the property. Let's do this. Let's go. And then Brittany stopped me and she says, like, because I started a little bit complaining about it. I'm like, oh my God, like these insurance people. And she's like, you're sitting in Mexico by the pool. Chill out. Like, just relax and enjoy it. You're getting work done in the sun. So it definitely
It
helped me.
often requires reminders to be like, look at like where we're at. Like if you feel like you're like not accomplishing something today, it's like, we lived such a different life, even just a year ago to look back.
Yeah, you were in Edmonton a year
Because
ago.
I mean we
Yeah.
were still in Edmonton a year ago. So it's just, yeah,
And if
life changes so quickly.
anyone's interested in chatting with us about how we've made the change and how they're interested in making a change, we're more than happy to hop on a call with anyone and maybe help them with some strategies or help them understand what investing's like down here or real estate in general, like yourself, Jan. Like, you meet friends and call some other people and that aren't into real estate, you get those conversations, be like, why are you a server here at the restaurant when I can help you in a way to learn how to buy a property
I know, I want to help everybody.
I know
Right?
it's really cool that that we're able to do that and still have that knowledge to be able to pass down to individuals. Like I learned all morning yesterday, learning how to, for an example, set up 508s in the States when it comes to different corporations and nonprofits, for an example. So I spent all morning learning about what it's like to structure a nonprofit and what that looks like in the US and how that can help you in certain aspects. But now I find myself, instead of sitting around watching, hockey game, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and wasting my time, I'm actually spending an entire morning learning about something productive in real estate. Again, we're in business. So we've just changed our entire lives and changed our focus. And so we're just happy to be here and happy to have these relationships and help people.
Sounds like a great lifestyle. So I encourage anybody who's interested in learning about that, yeah, reach out to Shawn and Brittany, and I will drop your um, guide. So that's your website, but your guide is
It's
accessible
right there.
in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah, if you go down to the bottom and it says click here now for the guide, it's right there,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, great to see you guys. Um, anything you want to share with our viewers
Oh
that we
gosh.
missed?
Um, I think that pretty much sums up what
Oh,
we've
one
been up
thing.
to.
Yeah, one thing we'll be at Expand with
Yes.
our broker. So anyone that decides to go to the Wealth Genius Expand conference, I strongly suggest that people go to it. It's an amazing place to learn about real estate, and I'm not just trying to promote it. I'm just for people that actually want to, make that jump, do it. Don't sit around and think about it, actually do it. We'll be there with our broker talking about Mexico. We'll also have an exclusive development, I think, that we're
Some exciting new
juicy stuff coming up.
developments that we'll be sharing. And yeah, and I think just, again, that like Sean said, like please, anyone feel free to reach out to us anytime. I get people reach out to us all the time about the fact that we left nursing to come to real estate. And I know that that was I think, of everything we've done, that's probably the hardest thing that we've done. Because moving from that
Dependent
job and that
lifestyle. Yeah.
dependence on this career. And also, in healthcare, like you very much own the job that you do and you care so much about people, especially, in these roles that you find it very difficult to do things other than that because that becomes who you are. Like I'm a nurse, oh, hi, my name's
It's hard
Brittany,
not
I'm a
to,
nurse,
it's
right?
hard not to get
And
back. Yeah.
and so it's really hard to just step away from that too. And so that shift was probably the hardest thing that we ever did was going from nursing to business. And I have people reach out all the time. So always happy to
But
talk
you're
about
still helping people.
how we did
At
that.
the end of the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
still right. Like that's in your blood to help people, and so you're just doing it in a different way now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
And
not
so
with a
always an
T40.
option for people out there who
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
You can take what you know and your skill because we used to always think like, man, we chose the wrong career. We always like had this idea that we wanted to work for ourselves or own a business. We're like, we're nurses. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, we can't. And
Well,
then we changed.
we struggled for years in Toronto. For many years, we have 5 children and also 2 special needs children, right? So that was something that kind of limited some of the lifestyle that we had. We always, one person had to be at work all the time while the other person home taking care of the children. They're all adults now, so there's supports and things put in place now that now we're able to start getting some more freedom our way as well, but still being able to have our children in our life. And
Yeah. But it was always like, how do you
how do you work real estate in that?
how do you change this big career when you have all these responsibilities? And it's very possible.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Well, that's amazing. What an amazing story. I'm sure a lot of people are very jealous of your being able to.
It's beautiful and sunny here right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a great story. So again, I encourage people to reach out to Brittany and Sean. They're very approachable. Tell their story. I'll again drop the website in the chat so that if anybody's interested in having a peek there. Um, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for
Thank you
sharing
for
what you know, and
Yeah.
great to see you.
you as well.
Awesome.
I guess we'll see
Okay.
you soon and expand as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I will be there. I'll be we're having a booth for the property management company for
Oh, cool. That's so
Belleville,
exciting.
Kingston, and Windsor. So
Nice.
Love
and a
it.
little plug here, don't forget, we offer a referral fee for anybody who refers properties to us. So thank you everybody for joining tonight. Thank you, Britt and Sean, for being here, and we will see you in about 6 weeks. And for the listeners, I'll see you on the next video. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Jen.